Welcome, beloveds. It's such a blessing to get to be together in sacred space. It's such an honor to be with you live. And it's also such an honor to be with those of you who are joining in the eternal now via recording. Today, there's this sense of coming into a more visceral remembering and a remembering of how deeply held we are in the divine embrace and how much sacred support there is for us. There's a tendency in our culture and therefore in our individual lives to lose sight of the fact that the sacred is woven through everything and to lose sight of that things are unfolding in service to our highest good, but they require our active participation with them for that to materialize. They require our recognition of the divinity and our sort of openness and connection, really. So that's where we're going to start today. We're going to start with connections. I'm going to invite you wherever you are to let the awareness drop internal, let the gaze become an inner gaze. And in that inner gaze, begin to feel the breathing. And as you breathe, feel yourself looking toward the heart and toward the lungs inside. And feel the gaze dropping down. Feel yourself looking toward the low belly. Coming into connection there, letting the breath come in and open the low belly, bringing a softness. We're often taught to pull up, zip up, tighten that part of the body. And for certain things, that's really helpful. But for other things, to allow space, to allow the pelvic bowl to become soft and round and open, really serves. And in that softening and opening, you can feel the pelvic floor blossoming open like a flower, opening down toward the earth. You can feel the vibration at the pelvic floor as the root center reaches down into the connection with earth to receive the nourishment there. You can feel that there is an enlivening and a goodness that just starts to come in the back of the sacral center, the back side of that pelvic floor, pelvic bowl starts to spontaneously open. And here, as part of our sacred anatomy, there's this influx of soul light, of sacred soul support that can come in through that back aspect. And all we have to do is bring our attention to it, to allow it. And it's like someone turns on a faucet and goodness just starts pouring in. So we've got this goodness pouring in from the earth into the root, this soul goodness pouring into the back of the sacred center. And you feel the heart spontaneously softening and opening. And the internal gaze begins to be up between the brows, into the third eye, into the pineal gland. And as you gaze there, that goodness that's flowing into the body from the earth and from soul at the back of the sacral and from the heart start flowing up. It's like you're directing that goodness, that nourishment into this space. And as that happens, the tailbone starts to open, and there's this dance between the tailbone and the pineal gland, and you can feel the flow back and forth between there. And you let the tailbone open, you let it wake up. And you keep the gaze on the third eye. And then the crown starts to open, and you can feel this beautiful, nourishing influx from the crown pouring also into the pineal gland, into the third eye. This goodness from both directions. And as that happens, you might feel a little bit of a spiraling, a little bit of a gentle spinning energy, spiraling you into your cosmic consciousness, opening you viscerally to the holy wholeness. Each breath is a receiving, and the third eye becomes like a sponge, drawing in, drinking in. And as it absorbs, it begins to glow. And you can feel the glow. And that light starts to emanate through the entire head. The whole of the brain is being illumined. And you remember all these places are part of the divine design, the sacred anatomy. It's all here for you. And you feel yourself breathing in and connecting. Now the gaze is beyond the third eye to that stream of light, this filament of light that flows to the top of the head, and you begin to follow it to the very origin, the source without source, the eternal light wisdom that you are. And there's a sense of being able to deeply rest in that communion. Then you allow. In this place, there's a stillness of thought and a pervading feeling of goodness, nourishment, connection. And with intention, you bring this goodness to any place in your mind, body, or life where there has been some forgetting or some disconnect, the illusion that it's all up to you. You bring this goodness to that part, those places. feel, sense, and see that these parts become like sponge. They absorb all the goodness. And there's a whole nother layer of letting go, of relaxation. At some point, it'll feel almost like the third eye and the crown separate from the body. The head opens up. There's an elevation of these centers of consciousness. And you let it happen. And you'll feel the base of the skull opening, the well of dreams activating. It may feel tingly or heavy or warm, or even a little spiky for a moment as it opens. And just marveling at this subtle body. Isn't it magnificent? All these flows and centers of energy. The divine design that's invisible but real, and you feel it. And you remember that there's a divine design that's invisible but real in all of life. And if you choose, you can feel it. You can feel the invisible sacred flows and centers and weaves of energy that are there to bring nourishment to all of it. And if you want, you can call that in. Out there in the world, in the middle of life, you can call in the visceral remembering of the sacred weave and anatomy of life itself. And I just invite you to rest here in this space of communion as long as it feels good and nourishing for you. And to take the remembrance with you when you make a transition and take it out into your living. And such a treasure to take this time out together. Thank you for your presence. Thank you for your yes. Thank you for uplifting one another and me. Mm.